Hello, welcome to another edition of the Pace Report. I'm Brian, Pace reporting live here at the Jazz Standard here in New York City. Trumpeter, educator, and composer Sean Jones tonight is performing selections of his brand new Mack Avenue's record release, No Need for Words. Ever since he was in middle school, he got bit by the jazz bug, where he started off playing drums but segued into playing trumpet. Over the last 15 years, he's been the chief principal trumpeter for Jazz at Lincoln Center, and now he's the professor of music at Duqesne University in Pittsburgh. Tonight we're going to sit down and talk about his career, as well as what motivates him to be a musician, as well as him implementing jazz to the next generation. What was that out there tonight?
Man, we was just having a good time, man. We're celebrating the album release, No Need for Words. We tried to create the vibe of love in all of its different facets, man. You know, getting to it.
This is a progression for you. I mean, you've come a long way since that first record, and also Gemini. I mean, at 33, you are now musically going further than you anticipated, aren't you?
I am. You know, believe it or not, when I moved out east from Ohio, the goal was to become a professor. Take that energy, the East energy, and bring it back to higher education, because I felt like some of that was missing. I didn't plan on putting out records. I mean, I always wanted to do it in some capacity, but I didn't think it would come to this. 6 albums later, a few years later, with a great label and having a great band and touring it, it just feels really good. So I went the path that was chosen. You know, I saw the lane and then just went through it. So
tonight I have to compare your band in sports terms as the Chicago Bulls of jazz. I mean, I see you out there as Michael Jordan leading, but you got a great support system. I mean, your pianist, who I call the nickname Scooter,
right.
Orrin Evans, he's like your Dennis Rodman.
He is, definitely. Orrin has been with me from the beginning. Literally, from Eternal Journey all the way up. He's on all of my records. I call him my silent musical director, and I just follow his lead a lot of times. Sometimes he follows mine. We just kind of know each other. We're brothers. We've cried together. We've laughed together. We've been through the storm and rain together, and it comes out in the music, you know. And it feels really good having them in the band. Same thing for Obed and Lucas and Brian. We've been together long enough that we've created a certain type of synergy that's hard to find. It's hard to keep bands together nowadays, but they all choose to come on the road with me. Even though a lot of other people ask them to do things, they'll sacrifice and come on the road for the music. So it's awesome.
Obed is like Dennis Rodman. He's going to give you some assists.
Oh, my God. That boy, I mean, it's so much fire. And the thing about Obed is, it's not like a lot of drummers where it's overpowering, where it's ego driven. His is straight heart driven, and he boosts you up and he lifts you up and makes you want to play instead of you feeling like you're getting beat down. So that's why I love him.
beginnings begin in Youngstown, Ohio, in the church.
Warren, Ohio. See, Youngstown is right next door. So a lot of times I'll say Youngstown because don't nobody know where Warren is. But, you know, my mom got on me. She's like, you need to tell folks you from Warren. So, Warren, Ohio. So, Warren, Ohio in the church. That's right. Since I was a little boy, I remember those hymns, hearing the melodies and the rhythms and people just giving their heart to the source. And that's what I try to infuse my music with.
I understand you started off on drums.
I did. Started off on drums, but there's something about that left coordination with the right. I couldn't get that together. So the right side was all right. So I just dealt with the trumpet. But I've sang, you know, growing up in church, played drums, tried to play a little organ, all of that. That's what you do in church. If you're musically inclined or you feel like checking it out, they tell you to come on up and play, and that's what I did.
I understand that jazz was introduced to you by your music instructor.
That's right. In the 5th grade, her name was Jessica Turner, and I just saw her a couple weeks ago, so that was actually really cool. She gave me 2 Miles Davis records. She gave me Miles Davis, Kinda Blue, and Miles Davis, Amandela. And then a couple of weeks later, she gave me Miles Davis Tutu because she loved Marcus Miller. Little did I know I was going to end up playing with Marcus Miller, but the first jazz albums I ever heard were those, Tutu, Amandela, Kinda Blue. And when I heard that sound, man, something inside of me I just knew. I just knew right then and there that my life was going to go a certain way. And I went down that direction.
You know, you're on the whole academic tip, which I really admire about you. And at 33 years old, you are the assistant music professor at Duqesne University in Pittsburgh.
Just a couple days ago, I got tenure. Just a few days ago.
Wow.
Yes, sir. So I'm now associate professor.
Okay.
Yeah.
So now you're bringing education and as well as technique to the next generation of jazz musicians. What's that like now? What are you imparting to these younger musicians?
Well, I think there needs to be a gap, or there needs somebody to bridge the gap. There needs to be somebody that's willing to do that. I grew up classically trained, as well as playing out in the community, playing church and all of that. And I see a lot of people, there's a little division. There's the classically trained musicians or the theoretical musicians that come up learning and this and that, but they don't really have what I call field experience. Like playing out in their community, playing dances, playing in church and all that stuff. And then you have the people in the urban community, whether you're black or white or Hispanic or whatever, people in the urban community who are underprivileged, who go out and that's how they learn. They play in the church and they play dances and they play by rote. If those two worlds can somehow come together in a curriculum, in an undergraduate setting and a graduate setting, where people are charged to not just go and learn the theory, to learn the history from a book standpoint and all of that, but go out. You write a jam session into your curriculum. You write going to play dances into your curriculum. You write all of that stuff, and you create some kind of pedagogy for that unspoken type of technique that we have. I think that you'll be able to create a certain type of American musician that can sustain the cultural aspect of what we do here in America. But for so long, it's been like this, been a parallel. And some people bridge the gap. You have the Wintons and you have, but everybody is not as fortunate to go through that path. So if we could expose more people to that kind of path and write it in a curriculum, then we could have a true American musician that has the total American music experience. So that's what I feel like I want to do in the next few years, is to create that type of curriculum.
That'll do it again for another edition of the Pace Report. I'm Brian Pace, reporting live here at the Jazz Standard here in New York City. I'd like to personally thank Sean Jones for his time, as well as the staff and management here at the Jazz Standard. As always, please visit my website, www.thepacereport.com, for my weekly column as well as my past segments. Until next time, remember, if it's in the groove, it'll make you move. Until next time, peace.